Thank you very much, Nim. I think we'll just take a moment now to formally welcome Mr. Lawrence Chan, who has very kindly agreed to enlighten us with his thoughts, his experiences across the financial sector and, of course, and the position of leadership. Mr. Chan is here with us today. We are absolutely honored again. He's the Group Chief Executive Officer of Nets, Pay by Nets. That's the first thing that you hear when you land at the airport, Pay by Nets? Okay. So having more than 20 years of deep and diversified experience, Mr. Lawrence plays an important role in spearheading the efforts to strengthen Net's position in the rapidly evolving digital payment space. He heads 3 different business lines within Nets and bringing all of us the best of fintech and the digital revolution in everything that belongs to money. Mr. Chan has a strong passion for driving growth, which aims to have a tangible impact on improving the lives of people like you and me. He's currently serving as a fellow at the Singapore University of Social Sciences, where he provides advice and serves as a resource in the university's fintech teaching and research activities. Additionally, Mr. Chan serves as a board member of the Catholic Foundation, a non-profit organization. A man, an institution in himself. Mr. Chan, you're most welcome. Please, a big round of applause.
Thank you very much. In the next 10 to 15 minutes, I hope to share with you my personal experience on a topic which I'm definitely am not a subject matter of, which is the future of work. But maybe before I go into that, just a bit more introduction into who is Nets and maybe a little bit of who am I. So I have the privilege of leading 3 companies within the Nets group. One which most of you would probably have used, and we own almost all the terminal infrastructure in Singapore. That's the Nets entity, where when you use your Nets card, you scan the QR at any hawker center today, it goes through us. We are owned by the 3 local banks in Singapore, but we have 6 participating banks. So in addition to DBS, UOB, OCBC, we also have Maybank, Standard Chartered, and HSBC who also issue a Nets card. So we also support the 2 use cases for prepaid in Singapore, which is the motoring card, where some of you still have the cash card in your car IU. So I have a small smile on my face now that ERP charges are coming back, although many of my friends find that weird. Suddenly, maybe my revenue is starting to tick up a bit again. And we also have our card where you can use in any of the mass transit, whether it's MRT or buses. So we're looking to try to own more use cases in addition to transportation and motoring in Singapore. The other 2 companies, they are not consumer brands, but just to share, one is called Net Solutions. Net Solutions, we partner with the MES, our regulator, to build payment infrastructure in Singapore. And if we are lucky, we are fortunate, we try to plant the Singapore flag with our neighboring central banks in the region as well. And the third company is called BCS. I'll just mention the acronym BCS. BCS is like the clearinghouse of Singapore. So whether you're using and not many people use it today, but whether you're using a check, or you're using PayNow or Fast or Gyro, whenever the sending bank and the receiving bank is different, it goes through the rails of BCS. So again, we work very closely with the industry across all the financial institutions in Singapore. So almost every existing financial institution or even the new non-financial institutions who come into payments into Singapore would be on our rails. So that's who Nets is. For myself, I had the privilege of assuming this role just after the circuit breaker in Singapore. So still in the peak of COVID, where it took me maybe more than 6 months before I saw all of my direct reports face to face. And prior to that, prior to joining Nets, I've been basically mainly in payments, so I don't know much outside that. I spent just over 10 years with Visa, 10 years with American Express, and about 5 years with PayPal. And now trying to do something local for the community in which I live in. So that's me, and that's who's Nets. future of work. Again, let me share my experience rather than I'm not speaking from a point of view of expertise at all. The first thought that came to my mind is, yeah, we do what's competitive, right? We do what that can enable us to attract the right talent. But I think there's more to that. And what I've been trying to share within my team, and when I first came in, because I'm a firm believer that purpose triumphs over P&L. And of course, values will help us achieve that. And to me, whether it is the future of work in terms of the logistics required to support it, it comes back down to that. How do we encourage, how do we get our team to internalize that the reason they are here is because they are doing something for the community. Of course, we have to do everything else to make sure that they are competitively paid, they get the right packages. But I think it does come down to why am I here? Of course, we all have to put food on the table. We want to give the best options to our children. I have 4, so I think I know a little bit about that. But it does come down, I think, to what's our purpose? What's our purpose as an organization and what we're trying to serve? And that's the why. And to me, the how is our values, right? And as I share with my team, I want us to be known not just for the new things we're doing in the marketplace, the new infrastructure we're putting in, but how we do things are as important as what we do, right? And we need to create that reputation of not just doing more, but doing it the right way. So when I first assumed this role, I really tried to bring the leadership of the 3 companies together. And the first discussion I had actually with my HR team was, we're not ready yet to even have these discussions because we're not even at that level where we are, it's a big word, but have that trust. And I thought it was important for us to have that trust even before we could engage in those discussions. So we were able then to invest some time to build that trust. And we then started coming up with, and we got help from an external consultant to help us to develop what is our purpose statement today, which is connecting communities, empowering lives. You may ask, what has that got to do with payments? But the fact that we manage the largest payments, I always like to say, if you go to a hawker center and you buy a tau hui, you use the NETS payments to do that, to making the biggest payment in Singapore, which we're helping the MAS to build, or we've built. We have a role to play in that. And there are not many places in Singapore where we have that privilege of connecting communities within the same country and now even across border, and then giving individual sellers the ability to empower their lives through e-commerce and through digital payments. So this purpose statement and the values that we have created, we believe are really fundamental as we now are transitioning from the traditional workspace to the future of work. And going back to my first point in terms of being competitive, right? So we are, across the 3 companies, we're just over 1,000 people, and we don't set the trend. We in terms of what is it, 3 plus 2, 4 plus 1, what's the correct formula in terms of number of days in the office and number of days in which you can work from home. And we have to manage the challenges that we have to manage is that we have, even during the height of the circuit breaker, before I joined, we had nearly 50% of team members who had to be in the office. And what my predecessor did was actually, when COVID came, we actually had to rent more space. So team A, team B didn't mean team A at home, team B in the office, but team A, team B in separate locations. And a lot to do with the type of production data that we needed access to could not be accessed safely from out of the office. And as a result, we had a lot of team members, nearly 50%, that still needed to be in the physical office or even running on the streets to service those terminals that may be breaking down, which happens on a regular basis. And we didn't compromise on our service levels. Our service levels, if there's a complaint from a merchant that the terminal is not working within 4 hours, maximum will be there to either replace it or fix it for you. So we still required these kind of operational team members to be present, and didn't have the opportunity to choose between, in a way, home or in the office. And thus we recognize that actually the formula or the number was important, but not as important as really coming out with a common purpose as to why we're here, regardless of which entity or which business you're in, or regardless of levels. And I wouldn't say it's we wanted to make sure that it's not just a poster on the wall on your screensaver, but something that can be hopefully live. So today we have implemented where we have put our values. 30% of every team member's annual performance appraisal is based on values. So we try to make it a bit of a science where we have a definition for each value. We have the definition of what's a meets, what's an exceed, what's an outstanding. You've got to show the example that meets the definition. Trying to give the emphasis that how we do things is very important, not just what we do. So if I may summarize, I think to us, the future of work does come back to what is that social contract we believe we have. The social work is not just making money, I think, although we are in the business of money. I think the future of work is what is that written or unwritten social contract that we have in the community that we serve. So with that, thank you very much for your kind attention.